culture is actually damn good.
We're not urinating on the fire.
You can stop asking that question. I'm going to be calling the defense.
What I talked to Russell about is none of your business.
In this year's owners' meetings, not much has changed in the NFL landscape, but there were a few big decisions made. In an attempt to massage the egos of the refs union, the motion to make roughing the passer reviewable was rejected. It doesn't matter. We all knew it was going to be like reviewing pass interference a few years ago, where only a play or two was overturned and blatant PI wasn't because reasons. You will, however, see more potential ref ball and players with the number 0 on the field. There will also be no gradual cuts down to the final roster in the preseason from 90 players, which should keep starters fresh for a probable wave of injuries in week 2 of the season. Speaking of changes that no one wants, there's a chance that Thursday Night Football will have flex scheduling. It's more than likely going to be up for vote in May, and would give teams at least 15 days notice of a change from Sunday to Thursday. This would be terrible for the game, but remember, the dollar is what drives the NFL. TV rights fees are far more important to the league than the fans, and we all know it. It'll probably be reality barring a miracle. On to the NFC's moves. When dealing with his victims, Buffalo Bill made sure their skin after death was pristine. Only then could he create the perfect exterior for his voyeurism. The Raiders are doing the same thing with the Patriots. Like many before them, skinning them alive to create a so-called perfect exoskeleton. Derek Carr wasn't the main issue on the team last year, but he will be the scapegoat. Goodbye, failure. The Las Vegas Patriots have a Tom Brady to get. What do you mean he retired? Fine, just get Jimmy Garoppolo as a plan B. He's just like Derek Carr, except he plays 10 games a year instead of 17. Darren Waller's gone too, but he's injury prone. Better to replace him with Austin Hooper and a few other pieces like Marcus Epps and Robert Spillane for that awful defense. Denying Josh Jacobs his 5th-year option was a mistake. But that's why God invented the franchise tag. It's pretty much a 5th-year option. They also have to reward Jacoby Myers for throwing the game against the Raiders last season as well. That's why you paid him that much to play for you, right?
Las Vegas Raiders select Tyree Wilson, defensive end, Texas Tech.
This pick goes to show you how utterly terrible Chandler Jones was last season. His only highlight was Jacoby Myers throwing him a pass and force-pushing the soul out of Mac Jones's body. Otherwise, you'd have a better chance of finding Waldo on the football field. Tyree Wilson is the hopeful fix to this calamity. If he pans out, him and Max Crosby, in that division, oh baby, that'll be a deadly mix. Until their endless churn at linebacker in the secondary leads them to perpetual 7-win seasons. So you couldn't get Tom Brady to don the silver and black as anything besides an owner. Oh well, you'll continue to skin the Patriots alive by bringing in the prodigal son in Jimmy G. Just don't pay attention to his foot. It's apparently mangled beyond all repair, and there's been nothing but radio silence on it. Overblown, probably, but it doesn't mean the Raiders are going to be any good. Team defense will cycle through at least 50 different players, and none of them will pan out for some reason. Marcus Peters come on down to be the next free agent flop. If only they could do the same long-term with Josh Jacobs, but they haven't come close to it. He tried for a holdout, but running backs have no power in the modern NFL. Hate to say it, Josh, but you're gonna have to bite the bullet here. Remember, the NFLPA had a chance to get rid of the franchise tag in 2020. They failed you. One word comes out of my mouth in regards to the AFC. Stacked. It's going to be a goddamn bloodbath in this conference. And it can be argued whomever makes the Super Bowl will win it outright. Regardless, predicting anything is somewhat of a coin flip. In the AFC East, regardless of competition, the Bills are still the best in class in my opinion. AFC North, barring more injury to Joe Burrow, since he takes it with their elite offense. The AFC South, it's Jacksonville's to lose. They have to win it by default, right? Although we did say that about Tennessee last year. And the AFC West is a Kansas City affair. As usual. Wild cards, though, they're really hard to gauge. Pick them out of a hat, I guess. Ravens, Chargers, and Jets. Why Jets? Because this is usually how ridiculous it tends to be. Sue me. I'm sorry for all the teams I jinxed as always. I regret nothing. The reign of Sean Payton has officially begun at Mile High. To clean the sins of the hacks before them is of the utmost priority. Rehabilitated Russell Wilson showcased against the boogeyman of Josh McDaniels. Oh, what a sight it would be. The revelations are abound. Denver is scoring touchdowns in the red zone. A sight as rare as the lunar eclipse last year now happening multiple times in a game. The only thing you had to do to get it was trade any competent kicking game you had. A missed PAT and shanked field goal will be their undoing. A comedy of errors ensues where everything that could go wrong does, falling to the chiseled sword of a suave-controlled Jimmy G as your offense sputters at the worst possible times. The more you try to change things, the more they never do. Denver loses another game where they can't score more than 16 points. Josh McDaniels continues to ruin the franchise. Remember, Broncos country, the ride never ends. The only thing the Bills wanted to prove was that last week was a fluke. Good for them, Las Vegas is the perfect recipe for getting a team off the schneid. Unless you're Denver. It took a little bit to do so, but when Josh Allen snapped off the turnover machine, he became a man of fire. The Raider defense, as porous as ever, stood no chance against the home onslaught. Points scored in nearly every single drive. 450 yards of total offense. The defensive 11 suffocating their opponent. A complete and dominating win. And it was desperately needed. Simply to get the taste of jet fuel out of their mouths. Well done, you've stemmed the tides of war. There's only one question I have to ask the Raiders. What the hell is happening with Chandler Jones? He went from talking about not dressing to accusing people in the organization of child molestation. It's honestly getting sad. Pittsburgh headed to Raiderland is usually a death sentence for the Steelers. They haven't won there since 1995. Will this game be any different? Apparently yes. This game answered who would win in a contest. A stoppable force or a movable object. Today the stoppable force proved superior. The Steelers scored points on offense. Over 20 of them. I don't know how to feel about this. Yes, the Raiders' defense is notoriously terrible, but actual production on offense? Kenny Pickett was throwing accurately? Consecutive first downs? This feels like a fever dream. Jimmy G was gifting the defense some tasty turnovers of his own, and Pittsburgh has a chance to put it away. Well, at least until the refs call Minka for a bullshit roughing the passer call and the Raiders score 8 in the 2-point conversion. One-score game. And the Trudeau offense strikes again. Inoffensive and useless. The Raiders have a chance to tie the game up, but they are unfortunate. Josh McDaniels is their head coach. You have a 4th and 4 near the goal line down by 8 and you kick a field goal? You're trusting your defense to make a stop? Good news, Josh, they fucking couldn't. The Steelers thank you for your idiocy. I get you had to score again, but you think it'd be easier to do so with the game at least winnable by a field goal? Pittsburgh's punishment will be more severe. Promoting Matt Canada for incredible offensive failure. The saga that no one wants to continue is trudging along in Las Vegas. No, this is not about Josh McDaniels. Chandler Jones's doom spiral is circling the drains of life itself. At first it was just sad. Now it's turning into a tragedy. I don't want to speculate what he has, but Chandler needs serious help. Going off on social media spouting insane shit with increasing instability, being arrested for burning his ex's stuff outside her home and FaceTiming her doing it. He's been away from the team since Labor Day weekend, but now the Raiders have no choice. Jones has been cut with cause, not only ending a sordid saga, but costing him tens of millions of dollars. All I can say is that I hope he finds it within himself to get the help he needs. I've seen this self-destructive behavior far too many times in the restaurant industry. I have more bad news for the Raiders. Jimmy Jesus has been betrayed by the football gods for 30 pieces of silver. He's out of this matchup. The preseason wonder of Aiden O'Connell will get the call today. That call is probably coming from the same hospital Jimmy G went to. He got routinely destroyed in the pocket. One is an offensive line. The Raiders apparently don't have one today. I think I see a few of Aiden's body parts lying on the ground. Khalil Mack chose to deliver a death penalty to his former team. He transformed back to his shit-wrecking self to deliver 6 sacks to his opponent's doorstep. That hasn't been done in a single game since 2017. With Justin Herbert dispatching a suspect defense and the Chargers out to a 24-7 lead, this should be an easy win for Liquid LA. Seriously, what the hell did you expect? It's the Chargers. The offense goes ice cold with a rare fuck up by Herbert and a 3-and-out. That legendary Charger defense proceeds to bend and bend some more with a long touchdown drive to make it a 1-score game. Cue Brandon Staley being a difficulty spike. Another 4th and 1 deep in your territory and you're going for it? Wait, I thought the tush push was a cheat code. Staley, why the fuck are you? Be fucking normal! Now the Raiders have a chance to tie the game or worse. But thankfully, they're the Raiders.
It's first and goal. O'Connell. Intercepted. It's picked off. Asante Samuel.
Brandon Staley escaping his own incompetence yet again. God, I am so tired of this hack. What is this, the 7th time this has happened in the last 2 seasons? I guess he's playing percentage points on when he'll get fired or something. This was one of those games where I wish we could just end both teams' losses and call it a day. Monday Night Football games this year are gonna drive Joe and Troy to Al's stash. This game wasn't lopsided, but sloppier than the average bar on St. Paddy's Day. What I saw were 2 franchises that desperately tried to hand each other the win, but they were too honorable to simply take what was in front of them. We know of the Raiders' failure to do anything. They've been long cursed by Mark Davis trying to discover necromancy. Green Bay, even if they're without Aaron Jones, just look like shit. They can't do anything against a defense that was whipped by Kenny Pickett. The bar is insanely low, yet they couldn't reach it. What is it with Jimmy G-led teams and humiliating the Packers in front of their fans? The game may be tied in the second half, but when Vanilla Joe Barry's leading the charge, you're chucking linebackers and Devontae Adams. I forgot to mention, this is his first game against his old team. He and the Raiders might enjoy having a 4-point lead, but no one else does. This interception at least isn't Love's fault, it was a deflection. But neither team can do anything. Until Josh McDaniels happens.
All right, guys, the decision by Josh McDaniels is to try the field goal for a 7-point lead. 52-yard try by Daniel Carlson. He hits the upright. No good.
It's 4th and 1 at the Packer 35 with 2 minutes left. Your opponent has 1 timeout. Why the fuck are you kicking a field goal? You're not going up by 2 scores here, man. There are times to take the points and there are times to go for the kill. Go for the fucking kill. I don't even care that they missed the field goal. It's the whole idea that has me triggered. Sadly for the fans in attendance, Aaron Rodgers isn't their QB anymore.
4-man rush. Love. End zone. Intercepted.
Josh McDaniels is so fucking lucky Jordan Love was trying to play hero ball on that drive. Dude won on accident. Green Bay is humiliated. And considering that David Bakhtiari is becoming the modern Tony Baselli, it's going to be a long year. The Packers might not have a franchise QB for the first time in ages? Oh no! Welcome to the rest of the NFL. Bill Belichick, even in his declining state, knows that his greatest weakness is a former assistant of his. No matter what he does, he's either too nice to them or they know where to strike. The Hoodies' once proud legions of stormtroopers are now an undisciplined and shiftless rabble of mercenaries and conscripts. Even a coach as shitty as Josh McDaniels can capitalize against a fallen empire. Not to mention the Patriots' offense has been arguably the worst in football this season. And getting worse. The Raiders are up by 10.5, but feel pity on their old master. They allow that terrible offense to generate some form of momentum for a rare offensive touchdown. There's another wrinkle to the challenge. Jimmy Jesus has once again died for our sins. Another former soldier in the Hoodies army, and Brian Hoyer is under center for Phantom Patriots. Fortunately for them, Las Vegas can't solve the undermanned Patriots defense and is forced to kick field goals on 2 red zone possessions. There's one thing that Belichick is good for, it's coming back against the odds. They said he could never do it. They said he was done. They said his offense was pathetic. Well, is it so with an almost 10-minute touchdown drive for a touchdown to go down by 2? McDaniels' boys are buckling again on offense. New England's going to get another chance. Of course, the one dime that Mac Jones throws in a game is dropped by the perennially frustrating Devontae Parker. And then take a delay of game. Same shit, same result.
Jones.
First deep, and it's a safety. Safety by Crosby.
I think Mac's buried alive in that end zone. The sad part is that Jacoby Myers probably makes that catch. You know, the guy you cast off for Juju Smith-Schuster. How's that move working out for you, Patriots? We were holding off declaring the Patriots dead for the longest time. Now they ain't just dead, the body's been decomposing for months. Think a few rats are living in it. Are you ready for one of the 6 greatest football matchups in the 1 p.m. time slot? You definitely aren't. Years of technological and scientific advancements have led us to peak football. Tyson Bagent versus Brian Hoyer. Feel the glorious majesty of the son of an arm wrestling champion against the clone of the Patriots machine. It's most unfortunate for the Raiders that the Belichick cloning machine has been broken for decades. And they don't care to fix it. Welcome to the Josh McDaniels experience, where the plan is nothing and the execution is a bullet to the head. Chicago, under a complete greenhorn, looked like a competent, efficient unit on both sides of the ball. The oft-maligned Bears defense turned Brian Hoyer into, well, Brian Hoyer. Is it a good thing for a team if they're 2 for 9 on third down? Could be if you're the Bears. You know what is good, though? Deontay Foreman. I hate the fact that this man gets no respect. He's gone into shitty situations across the league and just rumbles against his opponents. Under him and Bagent, the Bears did the most important thing. Not fuck up. And that's good enough against the Raiders. Hoyer, meanwhile, was eventually pulled for Aiden O'Connell. Why didn't they just start him to begin with? And they apparently don't want to trade a pissed-off Davante Adams? That's Josh McPonzi's scheme for you. The near-weekly humiliations of the Raiders have led to turmoil in the locker room. An open room meeting was held to air out frustrations, and most of them should be pointed right at McDaniels. Fortunately, they get alleged relief in the form of Jimmy Jesus. He has risen on the 3rd week of injury. Yet he is a Pharisee, a false prophet of terrible football. There will be no salvation for the Raiders, thanks to the pathetic excuse of what they call an offense over there. I personally don't know how any team can win without Davante, Jacoby Myers, or Michael Mayer catching the ball in the first half. Take notes from Detroit. My goodness, utilizing the talents of Jahmyr Gibbs when he's the hot hand? Holy shit, who knew that a team could be capable of such a breakout performance? Jahmyr's got a bright future here, but the score does this no justice. Detroit made a shitload of fuck-ups. They struggled early in the red zone, kept fumbling the ball away in key spots, and Goff inexplicably threw a pick 6. In reality, the Lions should have won this game by 40. There was no contest whatsoever. And Max Crosby can be 95% of the Raiders' defense, it still won't be close to enough. Not when Jimmy G keeps airmailing wide-open receivers, and certainly not when Davante is absolutely livid at how things have turned out. He came here for Derek Carr, and now he's parked in hell. How do you fix this shit pile? Well, it's not Josh Jacobs' job to do. Feel for the players, but not for the team. You wanted to clone the Patriots and hire McSnake Oil? This is what you sow. The fact that Josh McDaniels is still the head coach of the Raiders after how predictably terrible he's been isn't the issue. The real one is wondering why the fuck the Raiders hired him and Dave Ziegler to begin with. Do they not see how much of a disaster Josh was in Denver? Oh, he slithered his way out of a Colts team he would have ruined? You're supposed to be surprised the Raiders have become a total gong show in a year and a half? This is a core feature of the McAsswipe experience. When will teams learn that skinning the Patriots alive without the core pieces doesn't work? I'm more shocked that Mark Davis finally had the balls to do what he should have done last year and kick both these hacks to the curb. The offensive coordinator's gone too, which isn't exactly surprising considering how shit it's been. This is something everyone who even glances at the NFL could have seen coming from a mile away. McPonzi's scheme is a guy who shouldn't be anywhere near a coaching position. Yet he got continually carried by Brady in New England, so he keeps getting chances. What did cloning the Patriots get you this time? 3 blown leads of at least 3 scores in the first 8 games of 2022? What about the time they couldn't get past midfield against the Saints until the 4th quarter? Losing to Jeff fucking Saturday in his coaching debut? Baker Mayfield 2 days after being claimed off waivers? Kicking a goddamn field goal near the goal line with 2 minutes left, down by 8? Being slapped around by the fucking Bears of all teams? Helping to run the starting QB out of town and pissing off the star wideout that came here for him alone? The man's learned absolutely nothing. Holy shit, what a fucking surprise. Don't worry, you can just sign former Patriots to fill the holes. Jacoby Myers has worked out, you know. This is gross incompetence. And honestly, him and Ziegler should be fired with cause for this shit. The team felt like it was on the brink of mutiny, for fuck's sake. Is this shit even a contest? When average schmucks know something's awful from the start, I think that's a sign you have no idea what the hell you're doing as an organization. I've said it since he was hired, and I'll say it once again. Should have kept Bisaccia, Raiders. He was far from optimal, but you'd be a lot better off if you did. Josh McDaniels' era in Raider Nation is textbook incompetence. The fact that he and Dave Ziegler will be getting $85 million for being shit is an insult to everyone. And instead, an actually likable person in former Giant Antonio Pierce. He wants to feel his players as they feel him. Good news for Las Vegas, it worked. A nice, relaxing change of pace from their ordinary shit show status. Which goes to show that Josh McLarsony was the main problem from the beginning. No, we will talk about the Patriots, you douche canoe. It might also have to do with shelving Jimmy Jesus for Aiden O'Connell. Who knew that not fucking the ball left and right would lead to a win? That and playing a team that's even more of a shit show than them and the Giants. Good lord, it's bad. A complete disaster on both sides of the ball at this rate. Danny Derps came back as an upgrade over being unable to attempt a forward pass. It lasted all of a quarter. The dream dies with a torn ACL. Dread it, run from it. Tommy DeVito must return under center. That's all you need to know. We're gonna shoot him in the face so his mother can't have an open coffin at his funeral. Welcome to the Caleb Williams sweepstakes, G-men. Not him, there's always Drake May. Or Michael Penix. Or J.J. McCarthy. The New York Jets. That is all that needs to be said. Those 4 words will make any fan of the game understand anything that they do. In an ideal world, the Jets would have taken this team out to the woodshed and beaten them by more than 1 score. However, these are the Jets. Any opportunity they have to shoot themselves in an artery, they'll do so with pleasure. Chances to score touchdowns undone by brutal penalties. Zach Wilson missing easy passes that could have turned the tides of war. Careless mistakes aplenty thanks to CJ Uzomah and Nathaniel Hackett's play calling. As always, the Jets defense is suffocating a rookie quarterback and giving their team every chance it can to win, yet the Jets keep happening. LOL Jets is a constant. No matter what they do, there will only be us laughing at their failure. It was only a matter of time before someone was allowed to score a touchdown. And it was the Raiders, who fed Josh Jacobs like a man possessed tonight. Like most other games this season, New York has chances, but their offense keeps stalling out. Imagine if they had an O-line, a quarterback, a competent OC, and some discipline. Just imagine. This defense is doing Herculean work forcing a fumble to give them another chance. And Zach Wilson is ready to evolve. You may have seen him check down to oblivion, but you haven't seen his final form.
Zach Wilson throws in traffic. It's picked off by Robert Spillane. Spillane taking off. He's down at the 40-yard line.
He checked down too hard. I know you don't really have a choice, but are you sure this is the guy you want to triple down on? Seems to me that they're too prideful to admit they fucked up on the pick. To be fair, they probably would have fucked up on any QB they picked in 2021. Only because Robert Saleh doesn't know how to manage a game clock with a damn. Burn off more of it, why don't you? That's your season burning into the ether as well. The Raiders steal the win and get back to 500. What the hell do you mean this team's 500? Raiders' miracle run continue against a non-New Jersey team? That is the real question moving forward. Should I say the real question is if Miami can manage to get their shit together? Even after a week off, they just look unbelievably sloppy. Inconsistency, the name of the game on the offensive side of the ball. Great throws to Tyreek Hill followed up by fumbles on runs by Tua. Deep drives to the red zone undone by stalling out at the 1-yard line. Countered with another impressive drive and touchdown to Salvon Ahmed, and then countered again with another fumble. An arm punt by Tua to start the second half of play. Shanked field goals. Over 400 yards of offense mean nothing if you go 3 for 11 on third down. The Raiders have a legitimate chance to steal this game away. And it's somehow being stopped by the Dolphins' defense. Odd because Aiden O'Connell takes 1 step forward and about 2 back with bad interceptions. The Dolphin offense is surprisingly sluggish for the rest of the game because their opponent is playing their hearts out. But a 7-point lead seems insurmountable to Las Vegas. AOC and Josh Jacobs can do nothing against this defense. The Raiders in general can't. Every shot they have is undone on 4th down, stuffed by a Dolphins team desperate to win. Yet they keep getting chances. And since they're only down by 7, tension fills the air in Miami.
Good time. Going deep. Looking for Tucker. Intercepted. Another one for Ramsey.
You knew that the Dolphins defense could bail out a bad game by the offense. That's a nice Uno reverse card this time around. Sorry, Las Vegas, you fought hard, but you just didn't have enough power to overcome your opponent. It happens. Better luck next time. You should know by now that we can't celebrate Kansas City's demise when it's so early in the game. So the Chiefs' offense looks awful once again, and the Raiders have a 14-0 lead with Josh Jacobs destroying worlds? Great. It means nothing. Didn't we have close to the same script last year? Josh McDaniels may not be here anymore, but the Chiefs sure know how to put one up on the Raiders. Receiving woes? Not against this lethargic excuse of a secondary, you ain't. Just run the same damn crossing routes ad nauseum. Las Vegas can't stop it for shit, so why change it up? There will only be further humiliation of a team that was supposed to have turned the corner, but it only shows us that the scars of Raider Nation run deep. Marcus Peters has to be a double agent. With how little he gave a fuck, he's being exiled for treason. As the Raider offense is silent after the strong start, the Chiefs get back on track at the very least. And they do it fast. Like Travis Kelce getting to 11,000 receiving yards in his career. On to the next victim. We've only got 5 weeks left in the season from hell itself. That means the playoffs are about to be seen as we crest over the hill. And then the race to the finish will truly begin. The AFC is a mosh pit as we all expected. Right now, Miami is the current number 1 seed by tiebreaker, despite questions that linger. Baltimore, after their bye week, is slotted at number 2. Kansas City and Jacksonville, after some rough losses at home this past week, are the final division leaders at 3 and 4. The 3 wildcard spots are bunched up, as the Steelers, Browns, and Colts are all 7 and 5. The Texans are also 7 and 5, but the first team out. Denver, Cincinnati, and Buffalo sit on the fringes at 6 and 6, and the Chargers and Raiders are kinda there at 5 and 7. This is the playoff situation, and the madness is only going to amplify. There's only one rule, and sadly the Panthers didn't follow it.
Don't get eliminated!
My friends, that matchup was merely an appetizer. The second half resulted in the Jets pulling away to a convincing win. The real crown jewel can be found in the sands of Nevada. Here is where true magic is brewing. We know all about the Minnesota Vikings. They were proud recipients of this honor 2 weeks ago, but they joined forces with the Chicago Bears to put together a horrifically embarrassing showcase of football. 4 interceptions for the Pastronaut resulted in an ugly loss, and now they've reached must-win territory. Their opponent this time is the Las Vegas Raiders, a team drifting in the abyss after a world of abuse was laid on them. Rooting the snake out of the garden has forced a time of healing upon the organization. Mark Davis has gotten smarter and things are much more relaxed. But despite early wins against New Jersey-based teams, the franchise is stuck in their typical woes. Now on the brink of being washed away from the dance hall, this game has also become must-win in the Roomba. There is some good news delivered to us. Justin Jefferson is returning after a long absence.
Unit ready.
So the Vikings attack will be getting a needed shot in the arm. After long debate, Josh Dobbs will be given another chance to right the ship under center. On the other side, Aiden O'Connell is everything Derek Carr was, except in anything resembling talent, ability, or production. He and the Raiders get first shot at fighting stance. Oh, how the Raiders move the ball, trudging and toiling like the tortoise on the open plain. Think of the output they could have in 7.5 minutes. 27 yards. Just over 2 yards a play. Groundbreaking. It's a breakthrough compared to Minnesota. Josh Dobbs is still lost at sea for a 3 and out. Do you like punting? You're gonna see so much of it today you'll have done leg day by proxy. Drives given some semblance of hope only to die at the hands of fate itself. Or good Vikings defense, depending on who you ask. It'd be awfully nice if Dobby's magic came back. Anytime soon, pretty please. We're into the second quarter and we've barely hit 50 total yards by both teams. 1.75 yards per play. I want to formally apologize to Bears Vikings. I judged you too harshly. I thought that was awful offense. That was a gun show compared to what's going on here. At least they used their legs for something other than punting. Maybe their arms too. You know, I was looking forward to seeing Justin Jefferson play football. Dobbs got that fucker killed on a terrible throw. He was briefly hospitalized. The Pastronaut is officially crash landing. The parachutes burned up on re-entry. The women and children are screaming in horror. Despite Josh, Minnesota has more yards on this drive than gained in total beforehand. Too bad Dobbs is launching rockets randomly. But at least they're in field goal range.
And thanks very much, Greg Joseph, trying to get the Vikings on the board with a 49-yard field goal, and it is no good.
It was probably our only chance of points being scored in the foreseeable future. The cleats are cursed. Burn them. Burn the Raiders' offense while we're at it. Brian Flores is reading it like a vomit bag. Repeat the same formula as before. Minnesota pushing the Sisyphean rock of offense up the hill, only for it to be sacked for an 11-yard loss and be punted down the other side. The Raiders are still trying to learn how to walk. We should give them some time alone, preferably in the locker room at halftime. There has only been 166 yards on 61 plays. An explosive 2.72 yards per play, equivalent to about 1 Trent Richardson. For those of you keeping score of Dobbs at home, 3 passing yards, 1 receiver injured on a suicide route. I'd say he'd get 2 more injuries, but he threw a pass for 5 yards and was then sacked for 10. But we can see the light with movement. A huge punt return by DeAndre Carter, a glorious sight. Partially undone by a blindside block, but now they have a chance at something. Oh my goodness. Actual offense. They remembered they had Hunter Renfrow in the cupboard. Someone is in the red zone for the first time today. This is not a drill. Points are surely guaranteed now.
Now 2nd and 19. The toss out to Renfrow. Renfrow fumbles the football, bouncing around on the turf, and the Vikings recover.
Now I see why they keep Hunter Renfrow in storage. I award them no points, and may God have mercy on their souls. God have mercy on Vikings fans. How many people would they kill to get Kirk Cousins back? A couple thousand? Will they trade their punter's leg for it? Think of the offense that could occur for the Raiders. They've gotten close before, and they can taste it now. Look at this incredible catch by Trey Tucker down the sideline. Don't care if he was out of bounds, just give him the damn reception. We're near the end of the 3rd quarter and both teams are still averaging about 3 yards a goddamn play. We don't need another punt. We only need more inept execution. The guillotine missed the target by a few yards, just like a Josh Dobbs pass. Now stay tuned and prepare yourself for the greatest play of the game. An 83-yard punt to the end zone. A.J. Cole punted for more yards than Josh Dobbs has thrown through the air. Not even counting sacks. What did you think he did on the next drive? If you guessed the 3 and out, congratulations, you're getting a spinal tap. Yep, he's done. I don't even care that the Raiders are still raidering on the side of the road. It's time for change. Like in Harry Potter, Dobby's been killed by a Death Eater. We enter a newer, more reckless gunslinging era of Nick Mullins. He actually threw a pass accurately. We're excited about Nick Mullins. God, we are depraved fuckers. No surprise that they punted the ball later. Oh, by the way, Las Vegas, Josh Jacobs is now out because he must experience life under the franchise tag. Here's your free punt after going 3 for 14 on 3rd down. 5 minutes are left in the game, and the point drought has created another dust bowl. Millions of farmers out of work as their crops die by a swarm of Flores Zero blitzes. It harkens us back to the legendary Dolphins-Steelers tilt of 2007, where slop and shit were on full display. That game had a legitimate excuse of being played in a monsoon. This contest is taking place in a dome. A climate-controlled dome. But then you see it. We have a chance at something glorious. Super tie. A 0-0 masterpiece that will eclipse all other greatest games in history. We will cheer its glory in the streets. We will tell our bored grandkids about it non-stop. The depravity and horrors experienced will make us hardened men. Suffering builds character. Unless the Vikings ruin it by kicking a field goal.
The snap is down. The kick by Joseph is one.
One job, Raiders. You had one job and you fucked it up like everything else you've touched recently. Minnesota scored points. All good things die before their time. I fucking hate life. 3-0 in the lowest scoring game since that fateful day in 2007. And it was somehow even worse to watch. 433 yards of offense. Combined, an unbelievable 3.5 yards per play. Just under 1.2 Trent Richardsons. I'm not even angry at Aiden O'Connell for being useless. We are free. The Berlin Wall has fallen and we are now in a land of strange wonders. What positive do we have to glean from this shit pile? Brian Flores' defense is pretty good. Nick Mullins was able to throw a football. The following contests were played on the same day and featured more points scored. 5 Elite European Football League games, 4 European Women's League football games, and all but 1 NHL game. That game, ironically, was a 3-0 win for Minnesota on the road. One more parting gift for the sick fucks still watching. A pooch punt by Greg Joseph that had a net yardage of -3. What a disgustingly enjoyable sight indeed. Can we just give this win to the Rams or something? We were robbed of true greatness. And I'm done. Let's get the hell out of here. Well, this is gonna take a bit to sort out. Scriptwriters are generating so much hope that it could power a small town for years on end. A mediocrity carousel that'll make your head spin. The age of upsets brings us endless mosh pits. In the AFC, the Ravens seem to be the only team capable of separating themselves from the rest. Miami had a chance to match them, but they choked and are stuck at number 2. But that's only because the Chiefs and Jaguars have been in a state of freefall as of late due to a variety of reasons. The first wildcard spot standing alone are the Joe Flacco-led Cleveland Browns. Gotta love overcoming adversity. Speaking of adversity, the Steelers have self-imposed it on themselves, yet are somehow bullshitting their way to the 6th seed. Even zanier Indianapolis holds the final spot by tiebreaker. It's a 6-way tie for 2 spots. The Texans, Broncos, Bengals, and Bills are alongside them fighting for a chance to move on. Welcome to the mess, kids. We've got 4 games left. Only 1 spot's been clinched and 2 teams are out. Buckle up. Keep your hands inside at all times. And one more thing.
Don't get eliminated!
I don't know, Jeff. We just didn't have a good game tonight. We didn't have it. It's just one of those games where nothing went right for us. You know, the worst thing happened to us tonight. So it's a reflection on all of us. This is just a really bad game in the NFL where nothing goes right, everything goes wrong, and, you know, it's the tough side of things. I know that what I've done here for 3 years, and I know what I put into this, and, you know, I know that we're capable of going. I know the type of coach that I am. I believe in myself. But again, this isn't about me. This is about a group that's hurting in there. We got to get some rest, and we got to get ready for Buffalo.
Why do you still believe that guys still believe in you, that you can go back in there and lead this team to whatever the rest of the season is?
Yeah, you'll go talk to the guys after this, and you'll be able to hear from them.
Why should you be the coach if that's
games like this happen in the NFL. To every coach that's ever coached in this league, you can look at any great coach that's ever coached in the league. Sometimes games like this happen. Sometimes there are games where it doesn't go right. None of it. And you got to put it behind you. You got to move on to the next thing.
Oh, baby. Unbelievable. Jack Jones. They do it again.
Another tick of the clock has passed. And while several teams have secured tickets to the dance, there is so much more at stake in this final stretch. The first seed in the AFC is all but Baltimore's to gain. Barring a sudden skid, they'll be getting a needed first-round bye. Miami and Kansas City have a chance, but will need a lot of help for it to happen. The AFC East is still a contest, mostly because of Miami's choke. If the Dolphins lose these next 2 games and Buffalo wins them, it would set up a Week 18 clash for all the marbles. The AFC South is the next premier destination. With Jacksonville's recent slide, there's a 3-way tie for the title. However, the Jags still control their own destiny in this regard. The Texans and Colts have roughly an even chance of claiming it for themselves. The wildcard situation is still murky. Cleveland's win has all but guaranteed them a slot, but there's still a 4-way tie for 2 spots. Cincinnati's still rattling off wins, Indy and Houston are defying logic itself, and the Bills are coming in red hot. Pittsburgh and Denver are all but out due to recent defeats, but still have an outside chance. I wish you all good tidings and safe travels in this final week of 2023. Christmas season is hectic, but these holidays get more special with age. Enjoy your time with friends and family, cherish what you have in life, and do me one favor, please.
Don't get eliminated!
Oh my God! Chiefs! I figured you were ripe to be upended in the wildcard round, but to pull this off? I'm impressed. A team that's supposed to thrive on their offense turned into Matt Nagy with the fucking Bears. Nearly every single thing that could go wrong for Kansas City not only went so, it blew up in their faces in unbelievably spectacular fashion. It was a comedy show disguised as a football game. Nickelodeon should have just added an arsenal of sound effects and called it a day. The game was lost on 2 offensive fuck-ups, 7 seconds apart. Mahomes serving up Hot Pockets as he flails around in a circle hoping someone manages to catch a fucking ball. Las Vegas just stood there and did nothing. And they still looked like daisies compared to their opponent. The Chiefs lost to a team that hadn't completed a pass after the first quarter. The Raiders didn't even have Josh Jacobs. Zamir White ate them alive. Everything shit the bed for Kansas City. Even the training tables buckled under the pressure. A prime holiday shit show reminds me of Ralphie with the BB gun. Shooting your eye out for lol cow of the week. Nearing the end of the NFL season and nearly every team is complete shit and I'm losing my damn mind. We'll see you in January, Kansas City. 2 more weeks to go, yet we have solved next to nothing. A few more pieces have moved into position, but very little set in stone. 2 teams clinched, 2 more eliminated, yet there are still 10 more teams that need to be cut off from the pack. Only 2 real contenders remain for the number 1 seed in the AFC. Baltimore and Miami. Conveniently, they play each other next week. The winner of that matchup likely decides the first round bye. Yet Cleveland still got a very slim chance to claim it. I don't know how, but life is strange like that. The AFC East has no change, but Miami clinches it with a win or Buffalo loss. Any other outcome will set up a Week 18 matchup for the crown and its spoils. The AFC South might be the real tank division. Everyone lost. Same scenario as last week, with Jacksonville still somehow controlling their own destiny. Don't fuck up against Carolina. The wild cards are still a hot mess. Cleveland is all but a given, but Buffalo has escaped certain humiliation with a strong run of form. The 7th seed from hell is still Indianapolis's domain. But the Texans, Steelers, and Bengals are clinging on to their rear bumper. Denver's devastating losses all but knocked them out of contention. Yet the Raiders are defying life itself. You tell me how that is. We have 2 weeks left, and the purge will shortly commence. Make your preparations now, for there will only be one phrase chanted throughout the land.
Don't get eliminated!
Indianapolis playing a home game in Week 17 against the Raiders with playoffs on the line. I think it's for the best that the Colts don't repeat what happened 2 years ago. The good news is that their quarterback isn't Carson Wentz. That alone is a critical advantage. That and this Raiders team has feistiness and snarl, but lacks more than a few things intact. Just pressing the wrong buttons at the wrong time. The defense holds the Colts offense in check, their offensive attack goes stagnant. When they can no longer hold the dam, Gardner Minshew finds Alec Pierce on the deep ball. Unable to convert big opportunities until it's too late, the defense bending on key plays over and over. Just wrong. Those mistakes add up. Indy was simply the better, more controlled team. And all Las Vegas can do is tip their cap to them. The final score is deceiving. Indy controlled this game for most of the entirety. It was a garbage time TD that put it within 3. And with this win, the Colts set the final stage against Houston next week. The ultimate test. Win or go home. How it always should be. But for Las Vegas? Well, Raiders, this is what happens when you make deals with snakes.
Fucking tough guy. You gonna shoot me from mouthing off?
I wasn't going to, but you kind of talked me into it.
Another tremendous battle of mid is taking place. But to call this mid would be flattering to both franchises. We have Jarrett Stidham against Aiden O'Connell. This isn't even making the cut in a Saturday afternoon matinee. Denver isn't playing for much. Their season's over. And it showed them with an offensive spark that set the gasoline around them on fire. The Raiders, though, they're playing to audition Antonio Pierce for a head coaching role. His tactics and game planning are unproven, but there's something about his style that's just so Raiders. They have an identity again. The autumn wind's been playing like sandpaper, just a pain in the fucking ass with a chip on their shoulder. It's more than enough to win against a dying ride, but the final call will be on Mark Davis. 2 years ago, he made a predictable mistake by hiring Josh McSnakeoil over Rich Bisaccia. If he overlooks the interim coach again, he better have a good name in mind. And not just making another inferior clone. Ready to admit that hiring Josh McSnakeoil was a mistake, Raiders? It's okay to be fooled by the plastic Patriots tokens. A lot of desperate teams do. Their year was doomed from the moment he and Dave Ziegler were hired. Take every embarrassment from last season and repeat it here. All the way from kicking a field goal near the goal line down by 8 to losing to some really awful teams. When Mark Davis, he afraid to admit he made a mistake, finally canned these two hacks because the locker room was about to mutiny, that's all you need to know. Did they seriously expect Jimmy Jesus to be the answer? Dude burned out like a Roman candle. And if he extinguished fast, Chandler Jones set the speed record. That being said, the Raiders at least managed to forge some form of identity under Antonio Pierce. A punishing, relentless unit that felt more like the Raiders than they have in decades. It's enough to get Pierce a real shot as head coach. Although that could have been because Max Crosby would have demanded a trade if he wasn't. Get yourself a quarterback besides very poor man's Derek Carr and you may be in business. Mark finally learned from the Bisaccia fuck-up, but he unfortunately hit his sound move quota. Tom Telesco is their GM? Really? Did he see how bad the Chargers have been with their lack of depth?